Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Morgan Whitlatch, and I'm the Legal Director of Quality Trust for Individuals with Disabilities. Quality Trust is an independent advocacy and monitoring organization based in Washington, D.C. We also lead the National Resource Center for Supported Decision-Making, which was created in 2014 and is dedicated to advancing the decision-making rights of people with disabilities and older adults through training, technical assistance, research, and promotion of promising practices. Through Quality Trust Ginny Hatch Justice Project, we provide legal advocacy and representation to assist people with disabilities, including older adults, to access less restrictive options for decision-making support and to go to court to prevent, limit, or end overly restrictive guardianship. We served under cooperative agreements with the National Council on Disability that resulted in 2 reports analyzing the impact of guardianship and alternatives through the lens of the U.S. Constitution and federal civil rights laws and policies. Those NCD reports offer findings and recommendations to the administration and Congress that can inform this subcommittee's deliberations. We also were involved with the 4th National Guardianship Summit that resulted in recommendations in the May of this year. Britney Spears' story has shined a national and very public spotlight on the problems of guardianship and conservatorship systems. In our almost 2 decades of working with and on behalf of many people impacted by these systems, Quality Trust knows that Ms. Spears is not alone. We have seen the kinds of rights restrictions she reported experiencing imposed upon adults of all ages, with different diagnoses or disabilities, life experiences, and socioeconomic backgrounds. And we know through direct experience how hard it can be to get a guardianship eliminated or terminated. Today, so far, you've heard directly from Nicholas Klaus from Indiana and those wonderful videos that you showed, but there's so many more stories from people around the country, and it's those testimonials that are the most important and the most compelling reason why reform must happen now. My colleague Zoe Brennan-Cohen rightfully emphasized the need for federally supported reform to address serious due process problems within guardianship and conservatorship systems. In my almost 20 years of legal practice, I have seen such problems firsthand, over and over and over again, and they pose significant and untenable challenges to people facing guardianship petitions and those seeking redress from the court or having those rights restored. We welcome federal scrutiny of guardianship and conservatorship systems, and we thank this subcommittee for its leadership in this conversation. In responding to this strong public outcry for change, we urge you not to concentrate reform solely on efforts to make guardianship and conservatorship systems better or improved. More attention and investment must also be placed on reforms that promote the avoidance of guardianship and conservatorship in the first place, as they are overutilized legal tools that have the effect of removing legal personhood from an individual. This means taking concrete and decisive steps to dismantle the many pipelines to overbroad and undue guardianship, including those linked to schools, healthcare providers, adult protective services, and the legal profession, among others. It means promoting less restrictive and voluntary options such as supported decision-making that advances self-determination and does not involve the courts. Supported decision-making occurs when people use their family, friends, and others they trust to help them understand the choices they face so that they can make their own decisions. It allows a person to retain their legal rights while getting support from those they choose and trust. SDM is already part of the mainstream disability rights discourse, and it's gaining traction for older adults as well. It's been the subject of pilots, state legislation and laws, and court decisions terminating or refusing to order guardianship. It also has been recognized and endorsed by influential associations, national organizations, and federal agencies. But more work is needed to ensure that its promise and practice actually reaches more people with disabilities and older adults across the country. Promotion, expansion, and advancement of supported decision-making should be considered one of the ways in which to address the problems identified here today. My written testimony includes additional recommendations, but I'll focus my limited time on some key ones. In addition to the ones Ms. Brennan-Cohen referenced, Congress should urge the Department of Justice to issue guidance recognizing and clarifying that supported decision-making is a reasonable modification that public entities and accommodations must recognize in order to avoid disability discrimination under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Congress should ensure that already federally funded programs, such as those associated with the Individual and Disability Education Act, are not pipelines to overbroad and undue guardianship by funding technical assistance and demonstration projects on using alternatives to guardianship and promoting training. Congress should support programs that fund grants to promote states adopting and implementing supported decision-making. Congress should support qualified legal service programs independent from the courts and steeped in civil rights advocacy experience to provide legal assistance to individuals like Nick, who are trying to avoid guardianship or have their rights restored. And Congress should also fund incentives to support the state collection of data that Zoe spoke of. We also would encourage the continued funding of the National Resource Center for Supported Decision-Making to coordinate national practices. Thank you, Senators, for your interest in this issue, and I look forward to answering your questions.